crown is in the gutter, there's a liar on the throne. My feet are in the kingdom. Shadow caster casting shadows.
Hey, welcome back to the channel, all you Lord of the Rings fans and Middle-Earth role-playing fans. Today we're looking at the Nazgul Citadel. This is the very last of the Fortress series that they released with the first edition. It is 8205 of the series. It was released in 1991. And as you can see, it's a really thick book. It is. Cover art is by David Martin. Now this book is based in Southern Middle-Earth, so there's pretty much nothing Tolkien about it. It's all Merc creation. It fits in well with Greater Harad and a little bit more of Shadow in the South. But anyway, let's go down to the battle board and take a look. So back to the board we go. The Nazgul Citadel, like I said before, it takes place in Southern Middle-Earth. And it works great with the other campaign modules. Shadow in the South and Greater Harad. Because it is taking place here in Chennacatt. So Greater Harad took place in Isra, Harar, and the Chennacatt. And then Shadow in the South took place down in this area, Pel and Ilorna and Mirador. So it does connect nicely with those. And let's open it up. So nothing on the inside cover. Cover illustration was by David Martin. Not my favorite guy. Your table of contents, introduction stuff, adapting the module, terminology. You do get a nice layout here. So you have Ty Chennacatt, Tartost, and then Fool. So you get a little regional map. Then you get the background story. And now this is all totally Merc creation. Tolkien never went this far south. So the Tale of Years goes on about a general named Wyatan who took the forces of Ciratandor. Akhorahil, the Blind King, or the Storm King as he's sometimes called. And it gives the whole background of Akhorahil, the Ringwraith, who was one of the Númenóreans who fell to Sauron's domination and took a ring of power. So it goes on in the Second Age, which doesn't really talk much, just talks about how, the rise and fall of Ciratandor and how the Númenóreans forced them to flee to Mordor. And then orcs take up residence in Ny Chennacatt. And then it goes into the Third Age and the rebuilding of things, how Sauron's influence slowly begins to reappear at the 1,000 year mark. And this is the start of what's called the Army of the Southern Dragon by Akhorahil. And a new age of conquest. And it goes right up into the Third Age when Akhorahil obviously falls, is destroyed when the Ring of Power is destroyed, and the Sun Lords of Far Harad are also overthrown. And what else is going on in that region? And then the Fourth Age is just basically clearing out the last vestiges of evil. It gives a nice story of the history of Akhorahil. You can find this in Lords of Middle-Earth, Volume 2, The Manish Races. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing. It is a pretty cool story. Then it gives the history of Ny Chennacatt, which has been the primary edifice of evil in the mountain slopes in the Yellow Mountains. Can be felt from the Seven Dominions, so Isis, Shadow of the South. North past Far Harad and east to Harshandat. So you could use all three of those campaign books to really have some pretty cool battles, military campaigns. I don't think I never did it. I did a smaller Greater Harad one and tried to do one in the far south as well. But you need to have exact numbers for everything. Then it goes through the history of Ny Chennacatt, how it constantly rises and falls at various times. Whenever Akhorahil is not too busy, it gets defeated, and then it rises again. And it goes through it's a pretty cool history. The first General Wyatan was given a minor ring of power and became a lesser right under Akhorahil. Something, again, Merp Creations. It's a very interesting story to read. I like reading through it. Gives a terrain map of Ny Chennacatt. Then it goes to Ny Chennacatt after 1640. You have a new character called the Tartas Zane, who takes control of Isra, and there's a back and forth between him and another clan that you can read about in Greater Harad. It's all interesting reading. Merp did a pretty good job of spinning this tale. I wish Tolkien had gone down more this way, but what can you do? Talks about Akhorahil's return to Citadel and reconquering the area again, and then having to leave for Mordor to do other things, and then the area falls during the War of the Ring, and then you have the fortress in the Fourth Age. Talks about a demon gathering strength and fielding an army of some 30,000 orcs and trolls, and how it gets defeated. Then you have the Army of the Southern Dragon. This is what I loved. This is a detailed description of how Akhorahil organized his forces, and it was called the Army of the Southern Dragon, based on different armies. The organization of the winds. The wind is the main tactical unit of the Army of the Southern Dragon, so it's kind of like a corps. Has 30,000 warriors capable of independent action at the campaign level. So I like that. So you'd have different corps. And then the military portion of the wind is broken up into 4 groups: the cavalry, the elephant corps, the infantry corps, and support. Okay, you have the cavalry. Talks about the basic unit. During the Third Age, the cavalry of the West Wind achieved close to 15,000 riders. Then you have the Mumaket, the elephant riders. 2,000 elephants were used in the campaign against Citadel in 18th century and the Third Age. Infantry, again, talks about them, and then support. Orc armies of Ny Chennacatt and Fool. They're called legions of 10,000, 2 legions, so you have 20,000 orcs. And then it goes into tactics, what they use. So all cool stuff. This is what I loved about this campaign book. And then you have the organization of Akhorahil's forces. So you have the Garks, who are like desert rangers. The Tarazana Fool, which is the Orcish warlord. Personal guard. Balazan of Ny Chennacatt, another Orcish warlord under that one. Then you have the Alaka of the Southern Dragon. It sounds Muslim in a lot of ways. You have the North Wind, East Wind, South Wind, West Wind. So these corps would face that direction and campaign particularly in those regions. Then you have the Slayers, which are the assassins. A typical wind, how it's organized. Gives a lot of detail. The teaching of Wyatan, who was the main general in the Second Age for Akhorahil, goes back into people of note. Akhorahil being the main one, the 5th of the 9 Nazgul, and is the principal Nazgul in southern Middle-Earth, or southwestern Middle-Earth. Tartas Zane is one of the main antagonists in the Third Age. Again, his story goes through there. You have another mannish troll, half-troll assassin, Sangarunga, who is a descendant of Castamir, the usurper, who's based mostly in Umbar, but is also down in southern Far Harad as well. Uthku, Black Demorian prince in Dushera. Wyatan, it gives his whole backstory, is a family of Númenórean sea captains of Sir Tandor. So I like how they give him, they keep him in there. And then we have the fortress itself, how it's designed. So you have the mines in the mountains with the fortress, construction under Wyatan, the inner workings of the fortress, so you get the water system, the lower system, upper system. Again, this is kind of based on the likes of Dol Guldur and probably Barad-dûr, I imagine, as well as Moria. Sewage waste, ventilation, heating, lighting, the elevator. Okay. Then you have the first abyss. Now that's a cool looking design. 1 are soldiers' barracks, 2 is soldiers' mess, 3 is the main kitchen, 4 is a storage, 5 is the arena of Akhorahil, which is pretty cool. We'll get into that later. You got a viewing box, animal cages, storage quarters, elevator officer quarters, senior officers' quarters, officers' mess, the Nazgul's receiving room, stairways, and what they call a Narya, which I'm not quite sure what that is. See all these various rooms. Talks about how the elevator functions. The soldiers' barracks. Not going to go through every room because each soldier's barracks has between 500 to 600 soldiers. That's a lot of guys crammed into a room. You have the arena, so the games, officers' quarters, the senior officers' quarters are there. They give you descriptions of what it looks like. The second abyss, you have the orc warrens down there with natural caves and old mining areas. The third abyss has warehouses, guard rooms. The Narya must be a fissure, like an old volcano. The fourth abyss has the small dungeons, larger dungeons, high security dungeons. The fifth abyss has a perimeter corridor, tunnels, stairways. Then you have the upper halls, which is the first tier. Again, just basic stuff. There's nothing really special. There's the second abyss, how it looks. Not quite as big as the first one. Number one are the orc warrens over here, and here, here, and here. So they're kept separated. There's a picture of the third abyss with more guard rooms, warehouses. And you have the fourth abyss, which has the cells. The fifth abyss. And then the first tier, so this is what you see. 6 is like a courtyard. 7 is the entrance corridor. You have all these guard rooms. So it's an awesome layout, I think. This is very cool. They went to a lot of work. The overgate, first level, second level. I'm not going to go through detailed descriptions. This is a huge book. Third level of the overgate, the courtyard, first level, courtyard, second level, third level. Then you have the second tier, which jumps out. Second tier fort, second level, third level. You have some rectangular towers and some triangular and rectangular towers, pentagonal towers. So there's all sorts of fun stuff. Actually, Game Warhammer has that Dol Guldur set. This almost looks like that kind of design. From a design standpoint, it looks pretty similar. Then you go to the third tier. This would be hard to get into. Like, you'd have to pose as a soldier or recruit to get in. You couldn't sneak into this place. And if you did, you wouldn't last long. You're either going in as a recruit or you're going in as a prisoner. Third tier 4, you got circular towers now. It's got a back gate. The fourth tier, which has some vaults in it, pit traps. There's going to be pit traps all over the place here. Again, the fourth tier, you can see where the entrance level is. Rectangular towers, pentagonal towers. It is definitely an awesome design. I love this design. Fourth tier fort. You got a square tower even. The fifth tier, you have a residence. Sixth tier, which is a little more interesting. It has what's called the Hall of Red, which has its walls, alcoves, pilasters, and arching vaults are carved in mannish forms whose faces grimace in agony and whose limbs thrash and twist as though under a torturer's thumb. You have the Hall of Fading. Includes ghosts, wraiths, and specters and skeletons. The sculptor who did the work must have been a master of his craft, since the solid stone of the undead drapery seems almost translucent and wispy. Okay. The Hall of Dark, made of black stone. That's kind of cool how they have that. 4 are the junction chambers. So from the central staircase, you go up and you can juncture yourself into all the various forts. This would be a hard fortress to take, because every time you see a 5, it's a circular tower. 6 is a square tower. 7 again circular towers. 8 is a square tower. Double square towers are 12. 13 is a square. You know, there's so many towers to look at, and they're pretty much all pretty basic. Double square tower. You have the 9th tier, which has the ring race, has his throne room with its various traps. The ring race chamber, a chamber for each of Akhorahil's fellow race, was reserved in Ny Chennacatt. These have deteriorated as the Nazgul lost their human attributes. So you have the Witch King, Inder, Ren. It names all the Nazgul that have their own little chambers. Council chamber goes into an outlying watchtower. Items of power. So these are stuff you can find in the Greater Harad book. The Star of Obed is in there. You get a description of the 6th tower, the 6th tier, the Star Towers, the Lord's Quarters. So it looks like 2 eyes, the eyes of the well. The Wondrous Weapon, which is a sword, a magical blade of the Sylvan Elves. A silk scarf is another thing. Okay. Oh, that looks great. Shaped like a dragon. The 7th tier and the 8th tier, kind of like a dragon's head. The 9th tier looks more. Well, it looks more like a frog, but it's probably the top of the dragon's snout. And it's got Akhorahil's chambers there. Then it goes into the outlying watchtower. You have the Crimson Glove. A sextant, visor of sensing, sword of grandeur. The ruins of the city of Chennacatt, so you can actually go through the ruins at any time. That would be the most likely time to find adventure or find stuff, is going through the ruins, but orcs are probably all over the place as well. Then it goes into some of the cities of the Greater Harad, which you can find in that book. Tartost gives us history. A lumber mill for some reason. Part of the adventures probably. The Sunken Well Inn. Yeah. Goes into a description of the Sunken Well. Its layouts. Lots of layouts, which made this book really good. It goes into a smithy. The Soothsayer's Cottage. And the Soothsayer. Now, adventures. Merchants are getting raided as they go through the mountain pass. Especially when things are safe for a while and then all of a sudden they start getting bad again. Because Ny Chennacatt's fortunes rise and fall with whatever Akhorahil is doing at the time. So in the Second Age, it was a big thing. And then when the Númenóreans took over Citadel and defeated the army, it became quiet. And then in the Third Age, around 1000, when Akhorahil reformed and reclaimed his old kingdom. So whenever Akhorahil's in the area, it becomes more, the evil tends to come back. So it gives all the NPCs for this one. You can hire yourself. There's a lot of them. A lot of townspeople and that. So it's basically a guarding the merchant. The task, purchase a wagon and trade goods to pose as merchants. So you're trying to pose as a merchant to find out what's going on, to see if you get attacked. Kind of a suicide mission, but it will. Just gives a lot of background information for this little adventure. So it's obviously during the ruins of Chennacatt. So this could be a 4th Age. Search for the Dark Star. So the Obed the First united the clans of Chennacatt, Israel, and Camarissa in the early 3rd Age. So you have to look for Obed's sword, visor, and great jewel. But the Star of Obed resides somewhere amidst the labyrinths of corridors and secret vaults of the dark forest of Ny Chennacatt. So this is a search, a missing treasure, kind of like Indiana Jones type of stuff. Or Alan Quatermain. And again, you have to decide what time period you want to go through there. Something that's not good. The employ of the warlord. So you're going to join the army and see what's going on. So you're going to join them and then go from there. So your first assignment would be like a message to fool needs to be delivered. You'll be given further orders, rewards, whatever. Interesting stuff. Now this one I love. We actually played this one. It was the Arena of Akhorahil. For military advancement, you can take a test of military ability. And the test of Akhorahil. Arena random combat generation. So whatever you pick, you're going to face 1d4 plus 1 human. Reward level 1. So if you roll the dice and see what you're going to face. You can face 1-on-1 a human. depending on their level. So 1, 4, 5, and 10. You can face an animal, or you can start facing multiple human warriors. The condition selection, again, rule, you can fight normal, must fight without main weapons. All contestants, armor and weapons, start in the middle. No weapons allowed, no armor allowed. Start fight from horseback, special. Whatever you want to do. Rewards can be determined using the random chart. So again, poor, normal, normal +5, rich, very rich. And it has the number of foes up here too. You can see 1d6 +2. So you could be fighting 8 guys at once. Interesting. And then the level of the guys. We tried this. The one-on-one was no big deal. And the animal was usually no big deal. But once you start getting into 3 or more humans to fight, it got a little tougher. So we tried this all around. It was good. It was fun. Or you could do, and we did the 5 challenges of Akhorahil basically. Defeat 3 consecutive human challengers, back to back with no chance for healing. Defeat 2 human challengers, both working together. Defeat 2 animal opponents. Defeat 3 simultaneously human opponents, so 3 together. Defeat a former victor of the 5 challenges. So we did that. It was fun. I know one guy, of the 5 guys I played with, 4 of them got killed. 1 died in the first challenge, 2 died in the third challenge, 1 died in the fourth challenge, and the 5th guy actually won. So that was pretty cool. As other adventures, you get tables, your master NPC table, herbs and poison chart, the master military table. Doesn't give numbers, but it does give, but you already have basic numbers of the wins. Master beast table, master encounter table, encounters in Ny Chennacatt, and then finally just a price listing. But yeah, the 5 challenges of Akhorahil were it was fun to play. It was. All right, so back up we are, and that was the Nazgul Citadel. Now I went through it pretty quick because it is over 100 pages long. This book is, unlike the others, which are very small and narrow. This could have been done as a city series book they have. When I think about it, I thought this was a great book. The Challenges of Akhorahil in the arena was one of our favorite parts of playing this. It was a really good book, and it tied in perfectly with Greater Harad. And also you could link it to the Far South book, The Shadow in the South, and even Far Harad if you could. So I liked how they had a Fortress book that actually linked some areas together, because none of the adventure modules really was able to link the 3 areas together. One thing I wish they had done, I wish they had gone back and done Citadel, or Citadel, however you pronounce that word, where Akhorahil's original Numenorian colony was. The backstory they had, there's a lot of story to this, a lot of history, so that made it more fun. And I liked how they detailed the military very well. Something they didn't really do too much in the Amun-Sul book, the Weathertop book. It was pretty basic garrison for a tower. So all you Middle-Earth role-playing fans out there, let me know what you guys thought of this book. Do you have it? Were you able to play it? And how did it go? What was something you liked, didn't like? Leave comments in the comment section. Until next time, this has been Roman Daisel. I am out of here.
The questions still unanswered as I look at what you've done. You never really told me. Again, I ask the question, but I'm waiting for reply. Are you satisfied? 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 Are you satisfied? Your crown is in the gutter. There's a lion on the throne. My feet are in the kingdom. Shadow cast the casting shadows, destroying what you know. Are you satisfied? 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 Are you satisfied?